Welcome back for a new video on ARK Survival Ascended. Today we're diving into 50 tips and tricks that will be useful for beginners and advanced players. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. Now that movement speed can no longer be leveled, there are still a few ways around it. The broth focal chili, improving movement speed by 25% and crafting skill by 100% for 15 minutes. Secondly, battle tartar, boosting movement speed by 50%. It will also temporarily increase some of your other stats, but will also drain your health over time. Finally, we have swamp fever, which will only increase movement speed by 20%. However, there are so many negative effects to contracting swamp fever that it's not really worth it at all for the extra 20% movement speed. Combining the two soups together without swamp fever will still greatly improve your movement speed. So there's no need to become a zombie unless you really are craving that extra need for speed. We can now view an extended version of our hotbar. This is done by holding Q on PC and by holding LB and up on the D-pad with an Xbox controller. I believe it'd be L1 and square for a PlayStation controller. You'll be able to quickly access your whole inventory on your hotbar. The pump action shotgun reloads quicker in third person than it does in first person. Our survivor will load a clip rather than the singular bullets. When your character is low on stamina, going into prone will prevent your character from losing so much food and water when regaining stamina. This can be extremely useful in early game and don't have a good supply of consumables to keep chowing down on. There is speculation that this can actually regenerate your stamina quicker also, which I used to do in ASE all the time. We now have a new radial menu at our disposal, where we can quickly access ammo types and attachments for whatever weapon we have equipped. This can be done by holding R on PC, holding X on Xbox, and I believe holding square on PlayStation. The long neck rifle is a perfect example of this, as it uses many ammo types and attachments, so this completely saves you going into your inventory and switching all your ammo types there. Giant bee honey is an extremely valuable resource in the game, and it is quite hard to come by and keep from spoiling if you haven't tamed yourself a giant bee yet. What you can do is carry a bunch of primitive fishing rods around with you. The fishing rod can be unlocked at level 18, and all it takes to make is a bit of wood, fibre and thatch, so it's very cheap to make. Grab some honey from beehives, drag your honey onto the fishing rod, which gives honey a lifetime spoil timer. So when you're ready for some honey, all you have to do is detach the honey from the fishing rod, and you're good to go. When delving into the swamp cave, the entire cave is filled with poisonous gas, so you either need to wear a combination of scuba and ghillie or a gas mask to not take health damage. And of course, Alpha Plurus spit is a big problem in this cave, which destroys armor very quickly. However, if you wear a gas mask and only a gas mask without any other armor pieces, it will still protect you from the fumes, and the Alpha Plurus won't be able to break your gas mask with their ranged attacks. They will hit your character, however, so you have to be wary of your health and be prepared to heal. The otter has the unique ability of carrying more than one of the same artifact in their own inventory. This makes them an extremely valuable shoulder pet for any player, saving you from multiple trips to retrieve artifacts. Trying to find metal at the early stages of the game can be a pain in the bum at times. After hitting many standard rocks with your pickaxe, you'll find you'll just come away with a few pieces of metal. A great way to gather metal at the early stages of the game is by harvesting river rocks. They're usually smaller rocks and they look really smooth like this one, and these are the ones you're looking for. And if you find one, there's normally a lot more in the area. These rocks are the next best thing until you're able to make your way to the real metal rocks. And better yet, if you own an Anki, they are pretty quick swimmers and can attack quicker in water, which makes them great for farming these river rocks. It won't be long until you realise you've actually got quite a decent amount of metal. I think it's safe to say that we've all been there and gone through that painful experience of running out of stamina underwater, and typically this normally leads to our suffocation. However, if you carry a wooden chair in your back pocket, you can place it down, take a seat, which will regain your stamina. This also allows you to use consumable items, and I couldn't count how many times this strategy has saved my bum while out exploring. Popcorning items is still one of the best ways to move heavy resources around your base, and it's done by manually dropping items out of yours or a dino's inventory, launching them in front of you and leaving them as packages on the floor, where you can then pick everything back up and override your weight capacity. And this can be repeated until you get to your destination, saving you numerous trips back and forth, time and hassle. There are a bunch of creatures that have weight reduction for certain resources, making life far easier for us. So let's focus on the most popular. The Anklet will reduce the weight of metal by 85% and can gather a wide variety of resources. The Doedicurus will reduce the weight of stone by 75% and is the best stone gatherer on the island. The Mammoth will reduce the weight of wood by 75%. It is a great wood, thatch and berry harvester. The Pelagornis will reduce the weight of organic polymer by 80% and will harvest a lot of polymer from baby and juvenile penguins. The Beaver will reduce the weight of fibre, stone, thatch and wood by 50% and can be used as a portable smithy. The Equus will reduce the weight of a wide variety of different resources and can be used as a portable mortar and pestle. The Argentavis will also reduce the weight of a wide variety of heavy resources. And I'm going to quickly showcase the RG in all its weight reduction glory. So you're out on a metal run, your RG and Anki are super weighed down. Well, have no fear, this is where the weight reduction comes into play. The Anki only has weight reduction for metal, so if you're looking to keep obsidian, crystal, stone, any of these heavy resources, the Argentavis has you covered and has weight reduction for them. Drop it all out of your Anki and transfer it into your RG. And by doing so, we've almost freed up half the weight of the RG. And we're ready to get back into Farming Simulator. Another great ability the Argentavis has is that it can be used as a smithy, and it's far superior when compared to a beaver. And one of its weight reductions include metal ingots, which are super heavy. With an Argentavis fully leveled in weight, this makes them a lifesaver for crafting expensive blueprints, which if you're not at the stage of unlocking the tech replicator, then it's almost impossible to craft these blueprints in a beaver or a smithy, as a smithy won't have enough slots for the resources needed to craft them. Not only will the Baryonyx heal extremely quickly when force-fed raw fish meat, it will also heal large chunks of its health when killing fish. The larger the fish, the more health it will heal. This next tip was actually quite a difficult thing to figure out when playing the game on controller. This is how to quickly transfer full stacks of items. On Xbox you have to hold A while pressing right trigger, and on PlayStation I believe it would be holding X and pressing R2 to transfer items. When consuming a rare flower, it has the effect of making most wild creatures attack you. This can be extremely useful when looking to tame and trap a passive or passive flee creature. They do give off a large area of effect, so be careful where you use them, as you don't want every single creature in the vicinity attacking you, so it might be best to clear them out first. The Tapejara is a perfect test subject, as they will flee as soon as you get close. But with the rare flower you can bait them into a trap and close them in, which makes taming a lot of creatures much easier. The only creature that cannot be aggroed by rare flowers is the Quetzal. The recipe tracker is a new thing that was added to the game. It can be extremely useful in the early game and many other stages in the game. To track a recipe, you access your inventory, right click on the engram that you want to track and click track. Upon exiting your inventory, you'll now see the requirements on screen that you need to craft that item. And what I find helpful about this feature is when I'm in my cooking pot and crafting up some recipes, because you can track those recipes, and instead of going on the ARK wiki to see what you need to make certain items, you'll now be able to see it on screen, so you don't have to worry about that. Dismounting a creature with a poor turning radius will allow your creature to turn around and face your attacker. This is something I wish I knew when I was new to ARK. I remember taming my first rhino, and this is exactly what happened. An alpha raptor was stuck in his bum and he ended up dying. But just knowing this simple trick, be sure to whistle neutral and you can remount your tame and instantly turn the fight in your favour. You can potentially put yourself at risk dismounting, but let's be honest, we all care about our creatures more than we do ourselves in ARK. The Ovis can be an extremely valuable creature to own, due to the rare resources that can be harvested from their corpses. You'll want to tame yourself a mating pair of high levels, breed them up, have a load of babies, wait for them to fully mature. Ideally, you'll want them lying around for a while so you can level them up in health. The more points you put into their health stat, the greater the amount of resources that can be harvested from their bodies. I'd recommend having a Ferrozino with all levels into power harvest. Normally a chainsaw is the best way to gather resources from them, but of course the chainsaw hasn't been added to the game yet. So after getting slot cap with raw mutton 4 times, I was able to gather around 800 pelt and 800 hide, and had to drop 4 full bags of raw mutton, and this is on 2 times harvesting rates. So it's crazy the amount of resources you could farm in your own base, just from slaughtering a bunch of sheep. Poor sheep! You can kill aggressive creatures through walls, without them being able to hit you. I find this strategy very useful in early game, especially when using a raft with a stone structure on top. Plow straight into dangerous predators, without a fear in the world because they can't even hit you, killing them without taking a scratch, netting yourself some easy XP. Every once a week or so, I will go around my whole base and restack all my consumable items in refrigerators, preserving bins, even feeding troughs can be worth doing. This will give you the most out of your consumable items, giving them a longer shelf life, should we say. For example, let's just say all this meat in this fridge was in stacks of 1s and it's about to spoil. If you didn't restack it, you'd have no meat. Whereas if it all restacks into full stacks, it's gonna last a whole lot longer. There are 2 ways to do this, one being the more efficient option. However, if you just want to do it quickly and be lazy, lazy like me a lot of the time, you can take all from the inventory and just transfer everything back in, which will automatically restack the items into full stacks. And now the more efficient method. For example, let's just say you whipped up a new batch of sweet vegetable cakes. You can see in the refrigerator most of these stacks have spoiled, and one more is soon to spoil from those stacks. So what you can do is split up the fresh stack in your inventory into 1 stacks, or in the case you haven't got a new batch, take the one with the longest spoil timer out the fridge and split those into 1s instead. Take all from the fridge, which will merge with the fresh stacks, therefore extending the spoil timer to the maximum. It does take a bit of time, but it's well worth it in the long run. The Argentavis can pick up a wide variety of creatures, including small to medium creatures in its talons, which also includes babies, which is extremely useful now that wild babies are roaming the island. They can also carry small creatures in their mouth. The Argentavis can land and keep them in their mouth, making creatures like the otter far easier to tame. And of course, your character can carry small creatures as well, like the dung beetle for example, meaning you can carry up to 3 creatures at once with the Argentavis. Boosh! Shoulder pets make for valuable companions when out exploring. They will give any items in their inventory 50% weight reduction when perched on your shoulder. And just to quickly showcase this, I have an entire set of armor in my inventory that weighs 30. As soon as I put it inside the otter's inventory, my total inventory weight is now only 15. They will help you carry a lot more items. Wireless crafting with tech dedicated storage boxes is an amazing new feature and will save you running back and forth around your base, finding all those resources you need to craft items. When place, they automatically have this setting turned on, but if you want to change it, you can access the tech dedicated storage where you can allow or prevent wireless crafting. And this works with any type of crafting structure: the smithy, fabricator, tech replicator, just to name a few. Let's say I want to craft a bunch of electronics. I have no items inside the fabricator. You can turn it on and start crafting the amount that you want to craft. And if we look at the tech dedicated storage, you can see the resources going down, meaning it's crafting directly from them. This can also be used to repair items. In my smithy, I got my armor set that needs repairs. No resources in the smithy, and I can still repair my armor. This has been well known for years in ASE. However, if you are new to ASA, it is something you need to know, as it can save a lot of time. The Daedon is an important creature that will heal groups of your tame creatures. The downside to this is it consumes a massive amount of food doing so, and it will take forever to get back to full food. What you can do is ram it full of meat, either fly out a render distance, or you could log out the game, and when you return, your Daedon would have chowed down on all that food you gave him, instantly filling its food stat. Crafting skill for crafting blueprints and the mind wipe tonic, and you'll need to know how they work so you can craft the best blueprints and custom recipes in the game. Firstly, crafting skill is a stat that you can level on your character. It will determine how fast you craft items, but more importantly, it will improve the quality of crafted blueprints and custom recipes. Whenever you craft a blueprint or recipe, you will gain a random crafting bonus. This can range from anywhere between 0% and the maximum crafting bonus, but you will have a higher chance of getting higher percentages with the more points you have in crafting skill, which is where the mind wipe tonic comes into play. The mind wipe tonic will reset all of your stats, but be warned, you will be stuck with these levels for 24 hours before being able to consume another mind wipe, reverting back to your original stats. Now that you're at level 1, you'll want to pump as many points into crafting skill as you can. The more the merrier. Here I have a 400 armor ascendant flat chest piece with 630 durability. So I'll craft a bunch of these just to show you how it works. After crafting 6, you can see we've got a random selection of crafting skill bonus on each, with the 514 armor being the best. You can see it's got a crafting skill bonus of 38.3%. Of course, the armor has gone up to 514.9. The durability has also gone up to 826, which is a massive increase on the blueprint. This leads us on perfectly to custom recipes, which when crafted are also boosted by the crafting skill stat. Consuming a focal chili will also increase your crafting bonus when making custom recipes. Firstly, you will need to craft yourself a note. Chuck it in your cooking pot and click on disable auto craft at the bottom of your screen, which took me a while to figure out, by the way. You can customize the look and type of consumable, customize the color regions, give it a name and description. Every consumable in the game has different properties, whether it be increasing food, water, health regeneration, stamina regeneration, or even negative effects. So you have to play around a bit to find ingredients to your liking. You can also visit the ARK wiki page, which will quickly tell you what items do what. You drag your desired consumable items into the middle, and when you're ready, click make recipe. Most of these items are catered toward players, however you can actually force feed a custom recipe to a creature. Here I have created a stamina regeneration drink. Flyers can't normally regenerate stamina in the air, however if you force feed a consumable like this to your flyer, you can see that the stamina slowly starts to regenerate. And just to point out, only stamina regeneration is affected by custom recipes. When force fed to a tamed creature, they will not receive increased health regeneration or an increase in their food levels, even if it's included in the recipe, which is still highly beneficial to your tamed creature. However, to reap the full benefits of custom recipes, they are typically better consumed by players. By boarding the front passenger seat on the Tapajara will enable you to use your weapons when playing solo. You can guide the Tapajara with the whistle move command. This is extremely useful when taming creatures like the Quetzal, especially as a solo player. Ever dived into the ocean with your land creature and dismounted just to watch them swim up to the surface and leave you for dead? Well, if you have your tame set to follow you, when you dismount, it will stick by your side when down in deep water. There is now a new variant of harvestable oil rock in the game. You'll be wanting to look for these type of rocks. They're round and bumpy, they won't drop a lot, but they are plentiful around the island, especially along the coast in the shallow parts of the ocean, and this is by far the easiest way to gather oil in the early game. Not only does the Echoes have a powerful back heel kick that can easily knock out a wide variety of creatures, on saddle you can also craft a lasso, which is really cheap to make. All you need is thatch and fibre. You can drag it onto your hotbar to easily access it, and with this you can drag a wide variety of conscious and unconscious smaller creatures, which even includes flyers the size of a Quetzal or Rhino Napha. This can be a lifesaver if you have easy access to one. It's time to whip out your inner Indiana Jones. Here, killy killy. Not only is giant bee honey an important ingredient for a wide variety of recipes, it can also be used to lure creatures when equipped to your hotbar. It can also be used to temporarily calm the lead sickfies when tossed off a raft, which can potentially save your raft's life and give you enough time to get away while being distracted. You can refill a canteen inside a tame creature's inventory. To do this, all you need is for your creature to be touching water. When pooping in a toilet, it is well known that once flushed, one fertilizer will be added to your inventory, and you will also gain a 33% experience buff that will last for 2 minutes. But an awesome new feature that was added to Ark Survival Ascended is that you can now spoil stacks of meat. Cram a load of meat into your toilet, have a poo, and you got a bunch of spoiled meat. That will definitely save you splitting endless stacks of raw meat. You can cancel a Pteranodon spin attack by landing mid-animation. I use this all the time in PvE, but that's mainly because I find it takes too long for the animation to complete. It will still deal the same amount of damage as it would if it was performing a full animation. However, it's probably far more beneficial in PvP, as it can stop all momentum dead, making your movements unpredictable. You can instantly change direction and attempt to pick on a player straight away. Torch belts and torch saddles. The torch belt is also a new feature in ASA, and there are 2 ways to quickly equip it. When using the torch, right click on your mouse to instantly equip it to your belt, left trigger on Xbox and L2 on PlayStation. You can also manually equip it in your inventory by right clicking on it and equipping it that way. And torch saddles work the exact same way as before, but surprisingly, a lot of people still don't know that you can equip a torch to a saddle. All you have to do is grab your torch and drag it onto the saddle. Boom, your tame will light the way for you. When taming an aggressive carnivore that's low on health, they heal every time they bite or devour a corpse. So what you can do is place a sleeping bag down, place all your stuff in a storage box nearby, hand feed yourself to them, or if you don't want to go through that trouble, kill a small creature nearby and drag their corpse to them. This will fully heal the carnivore, and you're now ready to begin taming it. Here are 2 awesome obsidian locations that, if on a busy server, may or may not be high traffic locations. You want to come to this location on the map, 21.7 latitude, 8 longitude, in the snow biome, and you're looking for these black rocks here. They are covered in snow, so they're a little harder to see, but you'll find there's a load in this area, and if you follow the top of this cliff towards the north, you'll see that there's a load of obsidian rocks scattered around this area. They are literally everywhere. The second location I want to show off is also right next to this location, 17.7 latitude, 13.1 longitude. There's a cluster of obsidian rocks here, and this pathway that, if you follow, will lead you directly to the blue obelisk on top of the mountain, and this pathway is scattered with obsidian rocks. You can follow the whole pathway up. Upon reaching the blue obelisk, you'll find a load of obsidian rocks also. There's actually that much in these 2 locations, I'd be surprised if you can carry it all in one go. Custom waypoints have massively improved. There is now a detailed tracking system and a new ping system. To create custom waypoints, double tap M to open your map, or double tap back on an Xbox controller. Go to the waypoints option at the bottom left, and this is where you can add your own custom waypoint that will show up and can be tracked across the map. And now just a brief look at the tracking tab. Go into your inventory and go to tracking tab /dino group. On the filter section, you can see there's a wide variety of options to pick, and I love this feature. For example, you can track any of your tame creatures. All you have to do is find the creature you want to track, click on it, and then click select to add POI. You'll then be able to track that creature and see it on the map. And what I love the most about this feature is that you can actually track your own tribe mates. mates. You can now say goodbye to your creatures and tribe mates getting lost. And finally, to access the ping system, hold the mouse wheel down, hold LB and RB on Xbox, and I'm assuming holding L1 and R1 on PlayStation. And it's just like any other radial menu. You and your tribe mates can see these pings on the map and on screen, which is great if you can't be bothered to talk to them. Tame ordering groups can be extremely important in many different scenarios and can be used to control selected groups of creatures. Any other creatures not in the group will ignore your commands. The way to add creatures to your tame groups is by accessing your creature's radial menu, modify ordering groups, where you can add that creature to one of the 10 tame groups. And to fully access your dino groups, go into your inventory, go to the tracking tab / dino group at the top of the screen, then click dino groups at the top right. For a good example, I use tame ordering groups mainly in boss fights. So what I have here is a bunch of Rexes in group 1 and a bunch of Rexes in group 2. You can either track your taming group here and by clicking set active group, and if you don't want to select any at all, the icon next to it will clear the active tame group. You can quickly access these tame groups on the go while using the numpad keys to quickly select your active tame group on PC. For example, 1 would pick group 1, 2 would pick group 2, and so on and so forth. To quickly access them via console, by holding back on Xbox or select on PlayStation, bringing up a radial menu, selecting dino groups, and select your active tame group. Being able to control selective groups of tames, especially in a boss fight, will massively edge the battle in your favour. With the right tactics, you'll be able to sandwich the boss from all sides, maximising the attack effectiveness of your tame creatures. Whereas if you only attack from one angle, a lot of your creatures will get stuck behind the front runners and they won't be able to hit the boss at all. The industrial grinder is an extremely useful structure. Not only does it grind up items for a small return on resources, but one of the best ways it can be used is by grinding up wood into thatch and stone into flint, especially stone into flint, as stone is extremely easy to gather as opposed to manually gathering flint. Adding to this, it gives a good amount of experience when grinding up wood and stone, and can be used to level your player a decent amount, or if you have tribe mates and have them sit on creatures you want to level up, adding in a Lystrosaurus for the extra XP boost for your creatures, you can level them very quickly doing this. When dismounting a tame creature, you will always dismount from the right side. However, you can actually pick which side you dismount from by holding A or D on your keyboard, or by holding left analog stick on controller while dismounting. Having a wall section made out of 4-quarter walls, with a ceiling placed in the middle of those 4 quarters, directly placed underneath your main structure ceiling, with a bed placed on top, ideally hanging off the edge. This will give you the option to lay on your bed, where you'll have a full 360 degrees view around the outside of your base. So this is actually something a lot of people don't tend to know. Have you ever wondered why your creature stops collecting items from creatures that they kill, even when you have the item victim collection turned on? Well, the way it works is that your tame will collect items from kills until the weight of your player and creature's inventory combined reaches over 50% of the creature's weight capacity. At that point, it will stop collecting items from kills and will just leave them as death caches on the ground. Now that cryopods are currently not in the game, the Procoptodon becomes an even more valuable asset. A baby in a mate boosted female Procoptodon's pouch consumes less food and gets a 2x imprint bonus. A wide variety of creatures do fit in the pouch. My baby stego that isn't in the pouch gains a 5% affinity. However, the baby in the pouch will gain double the affinity, getting 10%. By using them, you can gain a massive head start when raising and imprinting babies. Creature AI has completely changed, and trapping wild creatures can be an absolute nightmare at times. My go-to trap was always the ramp pitfall trap, but now creatures will do everything in their power to not follow you up that ramp. I'm finding that the metal billboard trap still works a treat when taming any creature too large to be bowlered. Placing down a large bear trap in the middle is a good way to keep it inside while you place the last billboard down behind it. You can have your own organic polymer farm by taming a male penguin and a bunch of females. Have the mate pop out a load of eggs and hatch a bunch of babies. The Pelagornis doesn't harvest half as much when killing tame babies. However, if you have a moss chops with all its harvesting levels pumped into organic polymer, kill your penguins, stick the moss chop on aggressive, they harvest more efficiently when not being ridden. And you can see we got a bunch of polymer, and this is on 2x harvesting. So here's a good little tip to know for beginners. And I must admit, when in a tribe, it does begin to grind your gears when all your tribe mates do this. Cooked meat is of course the most commonly used food in the game. One piece of cooked meat will fill 20 points of food and 8 points of health, meaning that if you have an unleveled 100 food stat and you're starving, then it only takes 5 pieces of cooked meat to fully fill your belly, not 20 like my tribe mates used to think. When at full food, you will not be able to heal anymore until your food drops below a certain level. The same goes for medical brews. They will heal 40 health over 5 seconds. So downing 100 med brews will not heal you any quicker than if you down 5, which is a more reasonable amount and you're not just wasting resources. The Tusoteuthis grapple has some unique qualities. When it has a creature in its grapple, every attack it deals with in its grasp, it will quickly heal large chunks of its health. It will also inflict small amounts of torpor damage over time to anything in its grapple, which can work quite well when used against human players. It will, however, take a very long time to knock out any creatures, but if you're out and about and you forgot your tranks, it is still a viable option. After discussing the crafting skill stats and a mind-wide tonic, you'll be wanting to know where to find the best blueprints in the game, and I've got you covered with the top 5 best blueprint farms on the island. I'll leave a link in the description of the video and in the pinned comment. I also have another video uploaded where I open up a bunch of every loot crate in the game, where I showcase what loot you can find in each crate. Link will also be in the description of the video and in a pinned comment. And finally we hit tip 50, and it's a whopper. I'm no builder in ARK, so when someone figures out a new building mechanic, I'm super impressed, and my mate Toastbloke figured out how to stack and float furniture by using pillars and beams. If you're looking for an in-depth tutorial, please go check out Toastbloke. Amazing tutorial, super nice guy, what's not to like? Link to his video will be in the description of the video and in a pinned comment. I'm just going to quickly show off the basics of his stacking trick. Here we have loads of foundations. I got a pillar placed in the foundation, a gap, and then another pillar, with 2 beams placed on top. With full alignment mode on, line your refrigerator up next to one of the beams. You can go into K mode and you want to get the fridge flush with the back of the pillar. Place that and then snap more fridges next to it, and when you go to place a preserving bin, it will allow you to place it on top of the refrigerator. You'll have to turn snapping off to be able to place more alongside it. And that is finally going to be the end of the video. This video was an absolute marathon to record, edit and finish, so if you enjoyed the video or found it helpful in any way, I'd really appreciate it if you like, comment, share and subscribe. If you're looking for more videos like this one, it really helps me out and I greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Goodbye.